You go through life carrying this weight you never talk about. It's not something you can see, but you feel it every single day. It shows up when you're scrolling through old photos and you see yourself from 5 years ago, smiling like you had it all figured out, not knowing what was coming. It shows up when you remember something you said at a party, or a decision you made that changed everything, or a moment where you froze when you should have spoken up. And suddenly, without warning, your chest tightens. You cringe. You feel that wave of embarrassment wash over you. Or maybe it's anger, not at someone else, but at yourself, at who you used to be. That person, the one who made that choice, who said those words, who didn't know what you know now, they live in your head like a ghost. Not the scary kind from movies, but the kind that follows you around, reminding you of every mistake, every regret, every moment you wish you could take back. And you carry them with you everywhere, replaying those scenes over and over, wondering why you were so stupid, so naive, so blind. You look in the mirror and sometimes all you can see is that past version of yourself staring back, and you hate them for what they did to you. But here's what most people never realize. Hating who you were isn't protecting you. It's not making you better. It's draining you. Every single day you spend at war with your past self is a day you're stealing from your present, from your future. Because that energy you're using to replay old mistakes, to judge yourself, to feel ashamed, that's energy you could be using to actually build something better. That's energy that could go toward the relationships you have right now, the goals you're trying to reach, the person you're trying to become. So the real question is this: how do you stop fighting a version of yourself that doesn't even exist anymore? How do you make peace with who you were so you can finally become who you're meant to be? Let's figure this out. First, we need to talk about the voice. You know the one I'm talking about. It's the voice in your head that sounds like a prosecutor in a courtroom, presenting evidence of every time you've ever failed, every time you've embarrassed yourself, every choice you wish you could undo. Psychologists have a name for it. They call it the inner critic, and it is relentless. It doesn't just point out what went wrong, it attacks who you are. And that difference is everything. When you make a mistake, there are two ways your mind can process it. The first way is simple and straightforward. I messed up. I made a bad choice. That didn't go the way I wanted. That's acknowledgement. It's honest, but it doesn't cut deep. It's about the action, not about you as a person. The second way is brutal. It sounds like this: I'm a mess. I always ruin everything. I'm a failure. See the difference? One is about what you did. The other is about who you are. And when your inner critic takes over, it's always the second one. It doesn't say you made a mistake. It says you are the mistake. And here's what makes this so dangerous. You actually believe this voice is helping you. You think that being hard on yourself is what keeps you on track. That if you don't punish yourself for past failures, you'll just keep making them. It feels productive, like you're holding yourself accountable. But the truth is the exact opposite. Beating yourself up doesn't motivate you. It paralyzes you. Think about it. When you tell yourself, I'm such an idiot for doing that, do you suddenly feel energized to go try something new? Do you feel inspired to take risks and grow? Number, you feel small, defeated. You start avoiding things because what's the point if you're just going to fail again anyway? This is the trap. The inner critic convinces you it's protecting you from future mistakes, but really, it's locking you in a cage made of old ones. It creates this vicious cycle. You criticize yourself, which makes you feel worse about yourself, which makes it harder to do anything, which gives the critic more ammunition to use against you. And the loop continues, forever, unless you break it. But here's something most people don't realize. That voice, the one that sounds so certain, so powerful, so true, it's not telling you the truth. It's just repeating patterns. Patterns that were learned a long time ago, maybe from a parent who was too harsh, maybe from a teacher who made you feel small, maybe from a culture that only celebrates perfection and punishes anything less. The voice isn't you, it's a recording. And recordings can be turned off. Now let's talk about what that voice actually does to you, because hating who you were isn't just a thought. It's a feeling, a heavy, suffocating feeling, and it shows up in two main forms: regret and shame. People use these words like they mean the same thing, but they don't. And understanding the difference changes everything. Regret is about action. It's when you look back and think, I wish I'd done that differently. I should have taken that job. I shouldn't have said those things. I wish I'd been braver. Regret focuses on what you did or didn't do. And here's the important part. Regret can actually be useful. It tells you what matters to you. If you regret not spending more time with someone, it means connection is important to you. If you regret not taking a risk, it means growth matters to you. If you regret hurting someone, it means kindness is one of your core values. Regret is like a compass. It points you toward what you actually care about. But shame is different. Shame isn't about what you did, it's about who you are. Shame doesn't say, I made a bad choice. Shame says, I am bad. It's not, I messed up. It's, I am a mess. And this is where things get dangerous. Because when shame takes over, you stop believing change is even possible. If the problem is who you are at your core, then what's the point in trying? You can't fix something that's fundamentally broken, and that's exactly what shame whispers. You're broken. You're not enough. You never will be. This is the real prison. Regret can push you forward. Shame keeps you stuck. And the worst part, shame doesn't just live in your head. It lives in your body. You feel it. That tightness in your chest, the knot in your stomach, the exhaustion that doesn't go away no matter how much you sleep. Carrying shame is like carrying a backpack full of rocks every single day. And you wonder why you're so tired, why everything feels so hard, why you can't seem to move forward. It's because you're using all your energy just to carry the weight of who you used to be. And no one can run a race with 100 pounds on their back. So you've got the voice, you've got the weight. And now there's one more piece of the puzzle, the replay button. This is what psychologists call rumination, but let's just call it what it is. It's when your brain gets stuck on repeat, playing the same painful memory over and over and over again. You know the feeling. You're trying to focus on work, and suddenly you're back in that moment. The thing you said at the party, the opportunity you missed, the relationship you ruined, and you can't stop replaying it, asking the same questions. Why did I do that? What was I thinking? How could I have been so stupid? And here's the thing. You're not doing this to find answers, because if you were, you would have found them by now. You've replayed that memory 1,000 times. You're doing it because it feels like you're doing something, like if you just think about it enough, you'll finally understand, or somehow change what happened. But you can't. The past is done. It's over. And no amount of mental replay is going to rewrite it. This is the difference between rumination and reflection, and it's crucial. Reflection is productive. It asks, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? What does this teach me about what I value? Reflection is forward-looking. It takes the past and uses it as fuel for the future. Rumination is the opposite. It's just spinning in circles, asking unanswerable questions, replaying pain without purpose. And the cost of this is enormous, because every minute you spend trapped in rumination is a minute you're not present. You're not solving today's problems. You're not noticing today's opportunities. You're not connecting with the people right in front of you. You're somewhere else, stuck in a moment that doesn't exist anymore, living with people who aren't here, fighting battles that are already over. And while you're stuck there, life is happening right now without you. Here's what you need to understand. The person you were, the one you're so angry at, they don't exist anymore. They're gone. You are not the same person who made that mistake 5 years ago. You don't have the same knowledge, the same experiences, the same understanding you have now. Because here's how it actually works. Every experience you have changes you. Every lesson learned, every mistake made, every moment of pain, it all rewires you. The science is clear on this. Your brain is constantly forming new connections, new pathways, based on what you experience. The you from back then was doing the best they could with what they had, and what they had was limited. They didn't know what you know now. They hadn't lived what you've lived. They were working with incomplete information, and you're judging them as if they should have had access to your current wisdom. That's not fair. It's like being angry at a kid for not understanding advanced mathematics, or being mad at someone for getting lost before GPS existed. The person you were made the only choice they could make at that time. Because if they could have chosen differently, they would have. But they couldn't, because they weren't you yet. And here's the paradox. The only reason you can see that past mistake so clearly now is because you learned from it. The wisdom you're using to judge your past self came from your past self making that mistake. You wouldn't be who you are without who you were. Every version of you, even the ones you hate, built the foundation for the person you're becoming. So when you hate who you were, you're actually rejecting the very journey that created the growth you're proud of. You're trying to amputate a part of yourself. But you can't, because it's already integrated into who you are. The only choice is whether you're going to keep fighting it or finally accept it. Let's reframe something. What if your past mistakes aren't evidence that you're broken? What if they're just data? Information about what doesn't work. Information about what you value. Information about how to do better next time. Think about anyone you admire. Anyone who's built something meaningful. Do you think they got there without failing? Without making mistakes they regret? Without having moments where they had no idea what they were doing? Of course not. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. He failed thousands of times. But he didn't see those as failures. He saw them as steps, as necessary information as part of the path. Your mistakes are the same. They're not proof that you're not good enough. They're proof that you were trying, that you were learning, that you were human. And every single one of them taught you something, even if the lesson was just, don't do that again. That's still valuable. That's still growth. So what if instead of looking at your past with shame, you looked at it with curiosity? What did that version of you teach you? Alright, so if hating who you were isn't working, what does? How do you actually make peace with your past? First, you need to catch your thoughts, because most of the time that critical voice is running on autopilot. You're not even aware it's happening. So start noticing. When that voice shows up and says, "I'm such an idiot," just pause. Notice it. Label it. That's my inner critic. That's shame talking. Just naming it creates distance because it's not the truth. It's just a thought. And thoughts can be questioned. So here's what you do. When you catch a harsh thought, ask yourself, is this actually true? What's the evidence for it? What's the evidence against it? Would I say this to someone I care about? Because I promise you, you wouldn't tell your best friend they're a worthless failure. You'd offer them perspective. You'd remind them of their strengths. You'd tell them everyone makes mistakes. So why are you holding yourself to a different standard? This is called reframing, and it's not about pretending everything was perfect. It's about seeing the full picture. Instead of "I ruined everything," try "I made a mistake and I learned from it." Instead of "I'm a failure," try "I failed at that specific thing and now I know more." It's subtle, but it changes everything. Because one keeps you stuck, the other lets you move. Next, practice self-compassion. And I know that sounds soft, but it's actually the most powerful thing you can do. Self-compassion isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about responding to your own pain the way you'd respond to someone else's. When you're hurting, when you're struggling, when you're disappointed in yourself, instead of piling on more criticism, try this. Put your hand on your heart, take a breath, and say something kind. This is hard. I'm doing my best. Everyone struggles sometimes. I deserve kindness too. It feels awkward at first, but over time it rewires your response. You start treating yourself like someone worth caring for. And finally, turn your past into wisdom. Instead of just replaying what went wrong, ask better questions. What did I learn? How did this change me? What would I do differently now? Write it down. Make a list. Column 1, failures or mistakes. Column 2, lessons learned. Because when you do this, something shifts. The memory transforms from a source of shame into a source of wisdom. It changes the narrative from, "This is a time I failed," to "This is a time I learned." And suddenly, your past isn't an enemy anymore. It's a teacher. Here's what it comes down to. You can spend the rest of your life hating who you were, replaying mistakes, carrying shame like a burden you'll never put down. Or you can make a different choice. You can choose to see your past self not as an enemy, but as a younger version of you who is doing their best with what they had. You can choose to take the lessons they learned, often through pain, and use them to build something better. Because the truth is, the past is already written. You can't change it, but you can change what it means. You can decide that those mistakes don't define you. They refined you. They taught you what matters, what works, what doesn't, and who you want to be. Making peace with who you were isn't about forgetting. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about freeing up the massive amount of energy you've been using to fight yourself and redirecting it toward the life you're trying to build right now. The person you were is gone. They did their part. They got you here. Now it's your turn. So here's what I want to know. What's one thing your past self taught you that you're grateful for now? Drop it in the comments. Let's turn this into a conversation because I think we all need to hear that we're not alone in this. And if this made you think differently about your past, stick around. We're just getting started.